Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to do a. I can't stop laughing at this shirt. I got this shirt at the thrift store for like probably $7. And with my beard and my hair, I like slowly see myself transforming into Rob, except I'm way cooler than Rob. Anyway, so we are going to talk about the a little bit more in depth about OCD recovery when it comes to somatic OCD. And we're going to focus specific because somatic OCD is really not well understood, and there's so many different parts about the recovery journey that has its own struggles because there's not outward compulsions and stuff like that, which doesn't make it any harder or, don't comparative suffer. It doesn't work, but it has its own challenges. But we're going to strictly talk about, what I believe does not work and what I've noticed during OCD recovery for somatic OCD. So, what is again somatic OCD? So let's just go over that real quick. Somatic OCD is obsession with neutral obsessions. Okay, so blinking, breathing, swallowing, heartbeat, salivation, anything like that. It's sensation based. Okay, and the biggest fears that I know for myself and what is probably for all of us is they're going to be trapped in this cycle of constant awareness forever. And then what happens is you catastrophize and say, I can't stand it. It's going to ruin my life. I'm never going to be able to do anything. My life is over, and so on and so forth. And we jump to the very end stages of black and white thinking. And this really puts us in that cycle. So when you go on to Google, when you have no idea what's going on, like you just developed somatic OCD, you're freaking out because one minute you didn't have it, and then the next minute you had it. So rightfully so, you go into Google and you look what's going on. You're like, I cannot stop thinking about my blinking. What comes up? Basically nothing. And the things that do come up are, in my opinion, pretty bad advice. And these are from TOPS OCD recovery centers. And because it's such an unknown fear, what do you mean you're afraid of your blinking or you're afraid of your saliva? To someone outside the OCD community, it sounds absolutely ludicrous. And I'm going to do another video with Erica in the very beginning stages with us both about how we both had no clue what was going on. But as you go through the recovery journey for somatic OCD, you start realizing what works for you and what doesn't work. So what is suggested in the literature, which there is none, or from these centers? Constant distraction, okay? The answer is no. So short-term distraction, healthy distraction, getting yourself back on track with healthy habits is going to help you in the long run a lot. But what happens is they constantly greed or constantly get your mind off of the sensation. All you're doing is running from that sensation and telling your brain that there is something to be scared of. So I understand how the professionals or people that deal with this could suggest something like that. I understand how maybe short term it has some validity, but long term it will more than likely make you worse and keep you stuck forever. So no. I want to touch on this, my next topic, which is mindfulness. Now, I've had lots of discussions about this. Now, mindfulness is not acceptance. They are completely different, and that is highly misunderstood among people in the OCD community, whether they're therapists or researchers or people who have OCD and so forth. So, Dr. Albert Ellis specifically talks that acceptance is not mindfulness. And living in a state of constant mindfulness is probably not realistic unless you're a Buddhist monk. And if you want to live like a Buddhist monk, you're more than welcome to do that. I own a business, so I have to think in now and in the future, and I have worries that living in the moment all the time is not realistic for 99.999999 infinity% of people, except for these extremists. So living in a constant state of mindfulness is not realistic and probably very counterproductive for somatic OCD recovery. So you're already so internally focused, and let's break it down a little bit. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is, okay, I'm observing a situation. I understand I'm anxious. I'm understanding that. But the changes that come from anything in life come from the behavioral changes. Awareness and mindfulness is important for the very initial step. It will not, in my opinion, lead to full recovery if you're just doing mindfulness alone, especially for severe chronic OCD. It might work a little bit for someone who has OCD of 0.5 to 1, but people like me who are 9, 10 out of 10 OCD, somatic OCD, I've never met anyone that has somatic OCD, and I've probably talked to probably 20 people who aren't exactly how I am, and it's a very chronic format. So mindfulness is not acceptance, because acceptance usually comes with some sort of behavioral changes. It's why it's called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Behavioral, not just cognitive therapy, which would be mindfulness therapy. You see what I'm saying? So mindfulness and acceptance, two completely different things. If you want to learn more about it from the founder and the professional, Dr. Albert Ellis's book, The Myth of Self-Esteem, I believe he talks about that. So constantly Googling, okay, and comparing your symptoms to other people does not help. So in the beginning, when you're scared and you truly have no idea what's going on, Googling makes absolute sense because you're trying to figure out what's going on. But it's a very simple thing. You have OCD, you're afraid of your sensations, and you have avoidance behaviors and other compulsions. That is all you need to know about what you have. It seems like you need to know that's certainty, and it's not true. I'm obsessed with my salivation and my swallowing. That's it. That's what it is. I have avoidance behaviors and stuff like that, and then that's what keeps me in the cycle. So Googling long-term, not good. Comparing yourself to other people with somatic OCD. I see this all the time. Oh, breathing OCD is way worse. Oh, blinking OCD is way worse. Break that down. How is that going to help you achieve your goals? I have said this my whole entire life, especially with someone who has struggled severely with complaining. Complaining has an ROI, a return on your investment, of absolutely nothing. Zero. Not even 1%. It's a false premise. Although complaining gets things done in society, it absolutely does not get anything done, except for get other people who have irrational beliefs angry at you, and then you go head to head. The only thing you can do is explain your perspective, your situation, say, hey, look, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm feeling, and if 100 out of 100 people say you're crazy and don't want to listen to you, that is completely okay. And they have an absolute human right not to want to believe you or listen to you. That is a hard thing to hear, but this is the major problem with society. So, constantly internally checking, like a thermometer. Is it still there? Is it more today? Is it worse today? Is it this? Is it that? That is one of the biggest compulsions with somatic OCD I have to imagine. Correlating to the biggest fear of, I'm going to be stuck noticing this forever. So when you break down using, disputing irrational beliefs, and you start to realize that even if you were stuck forever, you probably would not like that. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't want to be stuck like this forever. But if it happened, I mean, a year and four months have already gone by, and I'm here. So I mean, I'm still here. I'm still working, building lifestyle habits that I didn't have before. After when I first got somatic OCD. So what a lot of people do is they say, I got to put my life on hold or take off of work for 3. Absolutely not. Do not take off of work. That did not work for me, and I've never seen it work for anyone else that I talk to with somatic OCD, because you're just teaching your body that there's a problem. And this isn't easy, and I understand that. Living your life like OCD isn't there is the most important thing for recovery. One of the most. Living parallel, bringing OCD along for the ride. What we say OCD recovery. And that is not going to be easy by any means. You're going to have a lot of very weird moments throughout the day. But that internal checking, that thermometer, how hyper aware am I today? Oh, well, I didn't have this symptom yesterday. You're going to let those thoughts come at full blast with every sensation, every physical sensation. My OCD carries way more physical sensations, tightness in my neck, anxiety symptomatology, way more than it does intrusive thoughts. Maybe a couple days a month, I have like a day where I have like constant intrusive thoughts, but I'll go like 2-3 weeks without any intrusive thoughts. None, zero. Mine's all physical sensations. That's what makes OCD hilarious when you look at how different and how it can latch. It's like, it's very crazy. But the putting the life on hold is really, 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 really big. Looking for instant relief, that is probably the second biggest thing that people with somatic OCD do. Because with this particular fear, there's no escape. It's in you. You're gonna salivate. You're gonna swallow. You're gonna blink. You're gonna all that. That's just human physiology. I mean, if you weren't blinking and you weren't swallowing and you weren't salivating, you'd be dead. It's just gonna be there, and this is why acceptance is important. And accepting as, even if I was a little hyper aware forever, it would not be comfortable. Even 20% anxiety, but I could easily do it. Even right now, in a full panic attack, 10 out of 10 anxiety, I could go to work. I would not enjoy it, but I could do it, and I could try to accept it. So, summary: what does not work for me, and what I do not think works for other people? A, long-term distraction, different than short-term healthy distraction. Building healthy habits, completely different. Googling nonstop and comparing your symptoms to other people. Again, it's like complaining. It has an ROI, return on your investment, of absolutely nothing. Internally checking and avoiding. So, oh, how much worse is it today? How much is this? I'm going to sleep in a couple extra hours. I'm going to sit on the couch and watch TV, and your habits start to go, excuse my language, to shit, because your OCD is just keeping you locked forever. That doesn't work. Putting your life on hold, this imaginary place where one day I'm going to feel better. That day is never coming. Ever. I have to say that. I'm going to get real close. That day is never coming. Ever. You see how serious I am? I'm serious. If you sit around and wait for OCD to get better, your themes are probably going to switch. It's going to stay locked way long. Well, not locked way longer. Locked forever. Remember in The Sandlot? Forever. That, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up that scene on YouTube. That is what's going to happen. So you got to go towards it. You got to experience those sensations. Someone who doesn't have somatic OCD could sit in a room for 24 hours on a bed and just be like, okay, this isn't fun, but I could do it. Somatic OCD people would, oh my God, oh no, I can't be with my sensations for that long. I can't be it for an hour. But you can. You might not enjoy it, but you can do it. That is key to somatic OCD recovery. It is so overlooked. Experiencing your sensations. That is the exposure. There is no direct, it's just experiencing your sensation. That is so important. So like I said, internal checking, long-term distraction, fear avoidance behavior, Googling, comparative suffering, none of that works. None of it. It didn't work for me. I've never seen it work for anyone I'm friends with who has somatic OCD that I met with the community. And it is, the biggest misconception when you see, people that treat OCD is the long-term distraction. And I understand where they're coming from, but it's horrible advice. Absolutely misguided, terrible advice that will keep you stuck forever. So again, go towards it. Say to yourself, bring it. Bring those sensations on. Before I end this video, because I know it might be easy to say, oh, well, Nick, look, let me tell you what I'm experiencing in this moment, okay? My whole neck is tight. I'm hyper aware of basically this whole entire shirt. I'm very hyper aware of my salivation and my swallowing right now. So I might be talking to you, but those are geared right now. They're on. And looking for that quick relief, somatic OCD, if you have it in a pretty chronic format, if I could take a guess, probably in that 2 to 3, maybe even 4-year range to like fully recover. Fully recover. And what is recovery? I'd like to talk about this. Absence of obsessions and absence of chronic anxiety. Okay? Getting through the day with 20 panic attacks is not OCD recovery. And that is what a lot of people in the OCD recovery think. That is not true. It is, you basically feel like you don't have OCD. Maybe here and there you get a little, something come in. But no, that's OCD recovery. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really wanted to go I really wanted to go in depth about what doesn't work and what does work for somatic OCD. Thank you guys. Have a great day.